Previously on Libel the Bible.
God provides the Israelites with the laws of restitution.
God decrees that female Israelite virgins are worth more than sexually active ones.
God likes interest-free loans.
God doesn't like female sorcerers.
God says enough with bestiality.
And now, episode 19 of Libel the Bible. Hey everybody, welcome to Libel the Bible, episode, what episode are we on, Russ?
17, 18, 19, they're all starting to blend together.
Yeah, Russ is starting to make me question my, the number of toes I have. Ow. So flat.
I like to keep you on your toes, Scott. Yeah. By the way, my pen was not heard banging on this wooden, whatever it is, shelf. What is this? Is it a shelf?
No, it contains a sign that we pulled out of Ground Zero.
Okay.
If you look at the side.
You were vandalizing Ground Zero. Nice, Scott. Very nice. All right, so this is episode 19 of Libel the Bible.
Yep.
Back in the same room with Scott.
How was your week? Studio's still being worked on. The week was good, man.
Yeah, what was good about it?
Work's good. My boss left the company, unfortunately, which that's not good. He was actually a really good guy.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be a loss. So that's kind of suck going. But I'll worry about that tomorrow. Right. Tomorrow will be the first day without him.
It wasn't because of, like, the things that we talked about, was it?
We never talked about nothing, man.
That's true. We rarely talk about anything.
So that week was good. The weekend was good. Went to barbecue. Went to a couple of drink spots. No. So it was just a good week.
That's cool.
How about yours?
I'm getting excited for the New York Rangers are going to be in the playoffs, hockey playoffs. I'm a little excited because not only are they in the playoffs for the first time in like 5 years, but this is like the first playoff where my son has come like online, his brain has come online where he's been watching like some hockey games with me. So this is going to be the first playoff that he actually experiences. So that's like exciting. He's excited for it. So I'm excited to share that with him.
Wow. Do you think there's a lot of pressure on the Rangers knowing that your son, this is his first one, they have to put in a good performance?
Yes. Yes. I've written them a letter explaining the situation.
Nice.
So, I'm expecting at least win one round.
How many rounds are in hockey playoffs?
You have to win 4 in order to win the cup. So you have to win 16 games to win the cup.
That's a big playoff.
For this team, they're a young team. This isn't the year that anyone expects them to win a cup, but they have had a great year, and they do have an excellent goaltender, so anything can happen. But for me, I would be happy if they can win one round for sure, and then if they can go deep in the second round, that'll be a successful year.
Nice.
Because making the playoffs was like the edict this year. So we made the playoffs. Not only did we didn't just eke into the playoffs. Like, we coasted into the playoffs in second place. It's a very good team. So,
I like the fact that you're not setting the standards too high, like your expectations.
Yeah,
like you always seem happy. Like now, because man, if you expect them to win the cup and they didn't, I would not want to be in the same room with you after that loss.
I mean, there was only 1 year that I expected them to win the cup, and they won the cup that year.
1940?
No, I wasn't alive.
Oh,
1994.
That was a chant, right?
That was the chant from Scumbag Islander fans.
Oh. All right. So
what? Nah, fuck Islander fans.
Okay. I was just I went to the UBS Arena.
UBS, yeah.
Is that where the Islanders are going to play?
That's where they're playing this year. Yeah, this is their first year there because
they
moved to Brooklyn from.
I remember that
from the Nassau Coliseum. But Brooklyn didn't really build them like a hockey arena. They built like a basketball arena and sort of wedged in like a hockey arena into it. Like the ice was tilted, like the seats. You know how like you sit
yeah.
It was like tilted for hockey. It was like really weird. So like you were sitting on an angle to where the rink was. and it wasn't really a good arena. And you know, people on Long Island, they don't come out into like the boroughs or the city, like so. That's where the New York Islanders' traditional base is. It's out on Long Island.
Right.
Nobody was coming into Brooklyn to watch games, because for them coming into Brooklyn, you know, that's like us going to Staten Island.
Yeah,
There's no reason to do it.
No reason. I mean, they got the train station right there. So yeah, I went to the UBS Arena, and I was like,
how was it?
It was nice.
It's nice.
It's nice.
I mean,
nice.
inside, how's nice. The food area, like
lots of food places.
Yeah,
lots
the
of food
pavilions,
places, high end, very expensive. Everything's, but everything's pretty good. I was wondering that I heard the Islanders were moving there. Didn't they just renovate the Nassau Coliseum just a couple of years ago? Was that not to keep them in the arena?
I don't know if they renovated it, but the problem with the Nassau Coliseum is there's only one promenade. So you have 2 levels of seating, and everyone filters onto one floor for like food courts and bathrooms. There's no like boxes. You can't build like luxury boxes. And that's where a lot of money comes from, like the corporate luxury boxes. You know what I mean? So it's a really old arena. They couldn't continue to play that. That's why they moved to Brooklyn in the first place.
Oh, gotcha.
But as a general rule, fuck the Islanders. Yeah, you know, fuck them. Fuck Islander fans.
Yikes.
Let's go Rangers.
All right. Oh, parking sucks there, by the way.
Oh, did it suck?
You know what? It's because they're still building the parking garage.
Okay.
So the space that you would park is under construction. So you're kind of on all these far off lots. You're talking like a mile walk.
You have to walk.
And the parking lots are like right below.
They don't have shuttles.
You know, I didn't really look into it. I mean, maybe I didn't notice, but maybe they do because it's a pretty far walk.
Is it close to Belmont, to the racetrack?
It's right next to it. Like
it's
literally
right next to it.
Okay. Like if you fell off the roof, you might land on the racetrack.
Right.
So, yeah, once the parking's all worked out, it should be okay.
All right. So, you want to get into it?
I guess.
Exodus 23? Yeah, no? Not too excited?
It's better than hearing about your sports commentary, I guess.
Is it?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, listen, a lot of times sports podcasts don't do so good. I always, you know what podcast people fucking love? People
Joe Rogan.
love. No, I'm not talking about big podcasts. I'm talking about like independent podcasts. People love true crime podcasts. Like if you're talking about like true crime stories,
really,
people, there's like 1 million true crime podcasts.
You know, it's interesting you say that because if we take this book literally, this is a true crime podcast. There's a lot of
Who's the criminal?
Who isn't the criminal?
Well, I guess this is the point of what we're doing now, right? God's laying down the law, so like, don't be a criminal.
Oh, nice. Nice how that just worked its way right in.
So, we left off with God providing like laws for restitution and virgin sex. Things like that. So today we're going to do Exodus 23, maybe 24. We'll see how long it takes us to get through 23. And it starts with justice for all.
Yeah. I feel like I see Superman with his hands on his, on his hips going, his cape blowing.
Superman.
Yeah, wasn't he? Truth, justice, in the American way.
Atlanteans, time travelers, aliens, and there was one other thing last week that we talked about. I forget what it is.
I don't know.
Con man, like Jethro being a con man, remember?
Right. Yeah, no.
And Superman would still be more believable than God. All of those things would be more believable than God.
Well, Superman was an alien, right? So
yes.
Yeah, so
shit.
ticks the boxes.
All right. So Exodus 23, justice for all.
So what are we going to do? We're going to do like the same format last week?
Let's
verbatim.
Yeah, we're going to read through until...
I just hope people that don't come into this podcast, like during these episodes, say these guys just read it and then comment on the verses, because that's not really what we do here.
Well, explain to these people what we do, Scott.
We
What do we do?
I don't know. We read it beforehand, and we just kind of tell a short narrative, a synopsis of what we read, and we comment on it.
Yeah.
But this, we're actually going to be reading it verse for verse, because these are like bullet points.
Yeah, this isn't like so much a narrative at this point, so there's no there's no point in paraphrasing this, because these are actual literal laws. Yeah. So we find it interesting to read it and talk about it, whereas typically it's like a story. Right. So think of it like a novel. We wouldn't come in here and read the novel. We would read the novel during the week and then give you synopsis of what's going on in the novel and discuss it through our own lens. So that's typically what we do with this book, but it just so happens the past couple of chapters it's been like this. So, Justice for All, Exodus 23, verse 1, you shall not spread a false report. You shall not join hands with the wicked to act as a malicious witness. I mean, seems pretty cut and dry,
Don't
right?
be a fucking liar.
Don't lie. You shall not follow a majority in wrongdoing. When you bear witness in a lawsuit, you shall not side with the majority so as to pervert justice. So basically, don't be swayed by the crowd. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Just because everyone is don't conform to peer pressure, basically, is what it sounds like. Yeah. Which is sort of what's happening with Congress.
Yeah, might does not make right. Stand up for what's right, regardless of how many people you offend.
Right. Why'd you say it like that?
Because this whole
I want to know why.
This whole snowflake nonsense. I keep hearing, just a couple of years ago, a certain type of person was described as a snowflake.
What kind of person was described as a snowflake?
And now it's like the people that were making those accusations, now really, come on, man, stop melting so much.
All right.
This isn't a political discussion, so
yeah. It's not?
Yeah, like I said,
we could make it whatever kind of discussion we want to make.
That's true. We don't have rules.
So what Scott's referring to is,
not shall you be partial to the poor in a lawsuit.
So originally, it was the right wing of American society that would call people snowflakes, but that was, I think what Scott is saying is that's projection, because they're really the snowflakes. Right? They're complaining right now about censorship, oh, you want to censor what we say, praise Elon Musk, Elon Musk cares about anything except Elon Musk and the bottom line. But they're we get censored and this and that. And I'm going to tell you this, to a certain extent they're right.
No.
To a certain extent, there is the left, and me. I don't know if you know anyone further left than me. I'm pretty far left. And I find a lot of what's going on the left to be borderline fascist. When they start qualifying free speech, they're well, what's is hate speech free and I'm yes, because who will ultimately be the arbiter? Today you might who's deciding what's free speech, but 10 years from now, you might not like who's deciding. So, yes, all speech, as ugly as it is, must be allowed, right? So now the right wing is complaining, look at the liberals, censorship. Yo, man, let's not pretend they're not the ones burning books and fucking banning books and have a history of fucking what? We can't listen to a 2 Live Crew album in Florida. You remember that shit? Yeah. You know what I mean? So shut the fuck up. You're the snowflake. Stop projecting. I think that's what Scott was saying. Yes?
Yeah, pretty
much. All right, excellent. I'm sorry, you had read Justice for All.
Nor shall you be partial to the poor in a lawsuit.
So that's weird.
I thought it was weird until I thought about the life and times. Most of the people that I think would be in court or whatever, I don't know if it's a jury by your peers then, I don't know how their court system work, might be partial because I'm poor, you're poor, so I will side with you when big oil or the government tries to fuck with you. I'm going to side with you, even though you might be wrong, but you're poor like me.
So this is basically a plea to prop up the establishment.
it's I think it's a little backhanded way to like, yeah. Listen, yes, we might be assholes, but don't.
All right.
Don't judge us. You know what I'm saying.
So it's like an example of trying to keep mob rule in check and have people conform to the power structure.
Yeah, because you don't need 1,000 poor people to get together.
Right.
That's when shit goes wrong for governments.
Right. So like if your water supply, like Flint, Michigan, for example.
Michigan. Yeah.
Can you believe we live in a country where I have to donate, like on a yearly basis, I donate water. I buy bottled water for children in Flint because they don't have clean drinking water. Like, this is now what I do every year because our government can't fucking provide clean drinking water to the people of Flint. So if you live in Flint and your child gets lead poisoning, contributing to some kind of cancer, and you take the company to court, don't side with the poor person, the Bible is telling you.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily the company's fault.
Yeah, I don't know if that's really what they had in mind, but that's definitely what it looks like.
All right. So, next. Yeah. When you come upon your enemy's ox, you ever come on an ox, Scott? Oh, wait, let me finish reading this. When you come upon your enemy's ox or donkey going astray, you shall bring it back. All right.
Fine. Your neighbor's an asshole.
I don't agree with that.
Your neighbor's an asshole. You see his dog walking around. Grab his freaking dog.
Why?
Yeah, I don't know why.
I mean, look, I get it. Like, in a sense of ultimate Kantian justice. Immanuel Kant was this philosopher. He preached like the golden rule, but to an extreme. Like, you couldn't compromise the golden rule ever. So in other words, if you see someone drowning and you yourself can't swim, you should still like jump in and try to save this person because the right thing to do is saving that person regardless of whatever outcome might, come upon you. So in a Kantian sense, I understand if you see like some piece of shit, some piece of shit you hate, and you see their possession, return it to them. I see that side of it, but...
And I was there, and I saw what you did.
We live on this planet.
I saw it with my own two eyes. So you can wipe off that grin. I know where you've been. It's all been a pack of lies.
Oh, shit.
I saw you drowning.
What is that, man?
It's in the air tonight, man. Phil Collins.
In the air tonight. Oh. Yo, Scott, I'm telling you, man, my brain fog is real.
Yeah.
No, it's real.
Yeah.
I was talking to Amy today. She's like, you gotta get some Adderall. She thinks I should go and get Adderall, but
I trust her diagnosis.
I want to see if like my brain just needs to get rewired, after quitting smoking.
Yeah, you're still in a transitioning
because it's been like it's been hard. Like right now I'm okay, but I totally recognize like the lyrics. I knew I should know it.
But I wasn't really saying it in
it doesn't matter.
Way.
Like it's such the song is so iconic, And for some reason, Miami, I just literally watched the last scene of Miami Vice, the series. Like for some reason, it popped up on my YouTube like suggestions for no reasons. There's no reason why the last scene of Miami Vice would have popped up in my YouTube recommendations.
Was that song in the last episode?
No.
Oh.
And it was such a stupid scene. It was so stupid.
I don't think I've ever watched that show.
Oh my God, it was so stupid.
That was Crockett and Tubbs, right?
Yeah.
I don't think I've actually watched it.
Yeah. And the outfits, it was embarrassing. I was embarrassed watching it.
Maybe after our Fantasy Island podcast we'll hit that.
I mean, an 80s podcast is pretty funny.
Yeah. All right, so when you see the donkey of one who hates you lying under its burden, and you would hold back from setting it free, you must help to set it free.
Right.
So the same asshole neighbor put so much shit on his donkey that the donkey is like on its side with all its weight on top of it. Is that kind of what that means? lying under its
I
burden.
I think it's the same thing as if you see a donkey astray, you shall bring it back.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you see like an enemy's donkey and it's got like too much shit on top of it, you should help the donkey out in order to help it deliver like its load.
All right.
So like
I'm just thinking
if your neighbor's like if your neighbor overloads his pickup truck and like it causes like an axle to snap, you gotta like help your neighbor like fix the axle so that he can deliver like whatever load is,
or take some of the load off
right
before the axle breaks.
Right. So you gotta help. Why
isn't this like the straw that broke the camel's back? It's like the load that broke the donkey's back. All right, I don't know. All right, you're up next. Actually, you read 2 in a row. I'm going now.
Go ahead, man. Read them all.
You shall not pervert the justice due to your poor in their lawsuits.
All right, so this is the opposite now. So this is like just because someone's poor.
Oh, okay.
Don't fuck with them.
Yeah.
Right?
Keep far from a false charge and do not kill the innocent and those in the right, for I will not acquit the guilty.
Yeah, this is kind of stupid because obviously, so don't like accuse someone falsely of anything, and don't kill innocent people. Yeah. I mean, but the part where he says, I will not acquit the guilty, seems like, what does that have anything to do? So in other words, if we execute an innocent man, which Texas does all the time, by the way, Texas kills innocent people they execute innocent people all the time. It's been shown, and not just Texas, a lot of executions in this country. You could fact check me on this. I'm sure you will when you get to this episode. Yeah. I don't know what the percentage is. I'm going to guess. I'm going to guess right now, like, it's been proven after the fact, like 25 to 30% of all executions in this country, the people who were executed did not commit the crime they were executed for. Even if it's 5%, it's fucked up.
Yeah.
Right? Even if it's...
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So let's say Texas executes an innocent man. According to this verse, Exodus 23, verse 7, I, meaning God, will not acquit the guilty. Right? So the guilty being the actual murderer. Right. Why does God need to say this? In other words, don't kill an innocent person, for I will not acquit the guilty.
All right, so there's a couple of things this could be. One, don't pin some shit on somebody you know didn't do it because your boy did it and you don't want your boy to go to jail. So don't do that crap. And if you're that guy that thinks you got away with it, you didn't, because your time is going to come when you're going to come meet me, and I'm not going to acquit you. So enjoy what's left of your life because you don't got a free ride.
Counterpoint.
Okay.
At least he gets to live the rest of his life before he sees God, as opposed to if we actually execute him, then we execute him now, and now he has to go see God anyway.
Yeah.
So,
it's like not much of a threat.
Yeah,
I'll take my chances.
Stupid, right.
Oh, by the way, speaking of falsely accused people, I went to see a play years ago off Broadway with Alanis Morissette called The Exonerated. Yeah. And she took several cases.
Was it a musical?
No. It was just a play. She sang Amazing Grace in it, though, which is kind of a religious song, but it's like a really, everything she does is just butter. Mm-hmm. So she chronicled like the lives of several people that were on death row and did not commit the crimes. It's fucked up.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's fucked up. So
it was a good play? Was it a one-person play?
No, it was a bunch of people. She wasn't even like a main. She was the headliner, but I don't remember her playing.
And you said it was off
role.
Broadway?
Yeah. So, yeah, it was good.
You don't remember the name?
The Exonerated.
The Exonerated.
Yeah.
Okay. Was she like the chorus? Like in Greek tragedies, they have the chorus where it's like the main part of the play goes on, like the characters, and then off to the side you have sort of like the narrators. They're called the chorus. They're like the ones that are watching the action take place. And
it was so many years ago, I really don't remember.
Right. Fair enough.
And plus, I just stared at her the whole time. I almost
she was dressed?
Else, so probably.
Yeah, that's not my kind of play.
All right. You shall take no bribe, for a bribe blinds the officials and subverts the cause of those who are in the right.
I mean, obviously. So it seems like bribes are like a big thing, huh?
Oh, God, yeah. Talking to you, Newark local government.
Yeah. Oh, calling shit. Out Newark.
Shit.
I wonder what happened in Newark. Must be some infrastructure bullshit going on in Newark.
I must say. People of Newark should probably wonder why like the facilities are crap with the amount of money that place takes
because
in.
There's absolutely no corruption in New York City. Like, not a dollar is wasted, right?
Yeah. All right, so this is a pretty no-brainer. Don't be bribing people.
All right.
How about you don't take bribes either?
I mean,
you shall take no bribes.
Yeah, you shall take no bribes.
Okay, all right, that's better, right? Because you shouldn't offer either.
You shall not oppress a resident alien. You know the heart of an alien, for you were aliens in the land of Egypt. You know what's funny here? So obviously, like, be kind to like foreigners.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, that's obvious. It seems obvious. Don't call them like rapists. Or, some of them might be nice.
They're bringing drugs.
Right. Like, don't build a wall to keep them out.
No.
Right? Like, none of that.
No.
But here's the funny part. It says, for you were aliens in the land of Egypt, right? Mm-hmm. So it's funny because God's like giving the Israelites all these laws. Like, they're like they've set up a society at this point. They're literally like 3 months into like living in the desert, right? They're all gathered at the base of this mountain right now.
The base camp,
right. Yeah. And they're like, treat like aliens like really nicely. And it's like, God, why don't you fucking give us a home first and then lay these laws on us?
Yeah, we'll worry about who shows up afterwards when we have a place to show up to.
Yeah, we're going to have to carry these goddamn commandments around for the next 40 years.
They haven't been carried yet.
Yeah, okay. We know. All right. So that gets us to sabbatical year and Sabbath.
Wait. They were resident aliens in Egypt, but weren't they enslaved?
Well, originally they were resident aliens. Remember, they were invited to Egypt by the Pharaoh, by Joseph's Pharaoh. Because Joseph's Pharaoh was all about Joseph. Because Joseph helped them out. Remember, with like the 3 years of famine, 3 years of like prosperity or whatever it was, 7 years.
Yeah, whatever it was.
And then they became slaves because why not?
So is he maybe like saying, don't do that, like just because it happens to you? Like, don't, I don't know.
Well, yeah, he's saying like, you know what it means. You know what it feels like to be oppressed. So don't oppress other people just because they're not like you. I mean, this might be like the nicest thing God has said so far.
Basically, what he's saying is, listen, I understand that when you went to school, you got fucked with student debt, and there were laws in place where you could not refinance your student debt. And now they're talking about forgiving student debt. And all you have to say is, that's not fair. Why should they get it forgiven when I didn't get it forgiven? Just because you got fucked, don't mean fuck the next person. Don't carry down my legacy.
I mean, look, can I be honest with you?
No.
I want to be honest with you. I don't think student debt should be forgiven. I think what should be forgiven are the ridiculous interest rates. I think if you went to Harvard, right, and you spent $75,000 a year on your tuition, you should pay back that $75,000 a year. What you shouldn't have to do is pay compound interest over the course of 30 years that accumulates and accumulates because, you know what I mean? They use predatory, like, lending, schemes on, like, kids. And now you're paying off like millions of dollars. You know, that should not happen. But I definitely think that you should pay for the education. I don't think it should be entirely forgiven.
Absolutely. No,
I think there's a middle, not even a middle ground.
Not even a middle ground, but it's still, I think that's fair. I think that's fair.
Right. But to your point, it's like, you know, it's like the people that are making the argument, well, I had to do it. That's like people that were like, well, I had to work 7 days a week without like vacation days and sick days. Why do people get like 5-day work weeks? And you know what I mean?
There's cases like this aplenty we can reference, but
or like Jews in the Holocaust. You know, like I was in Auschwitz. How come these Jews get their own country? You know what I mean?
And didn't they get the country first?
No. Israel came after the Holocaust.
Wow, so they're going to sit at the base of this fucking mountain for like 1945 years or something?
No, man, I'm talking about... Okay, Scott. Scott's taking the whole, like, I'm ignorant thing a little too far.
All right, let's move on.
All right, so now we're up to sabbatical year and Sabbath. For 6 years, you shall sow your land and gather in its yield. Yep. But the 7th year, you shall let it rest and lie fallow, so that the poor of your people may eat. So, look, yes, reasonable, right? You don't want to, like, overwork the field,
right?
Because we learned in this country what happened with the Dust Bowl. You know, people just farm the fuck out of, like, the plains.
Wait, you think as humans, years of doing, like, bad habits that we didn't know better could actually affect something as awesome as the environment? Come on, man.
I mean, listen.
Oh, my God, you fucking fake news listening.
I know.
Yeah.
I struggle. I struggle still to, I struggle between maintaining my allegiance to the Lord and scientists. The scientists, though, they have that sorcery.
Yeah, no, the source of funding is what they have, not sorcery.
Yeah, who's funding them?
I just saw like
the liberal agenda.
I just saw some music set, like a video of the Dust Bowl, like it was crazy, set to some music, and I can't remember. It might have been that Imagine Dragons concert I saw at USB Arena.
Oh, so I looked up. We were talking about, speaking of the Dust Bowl, we were talking about Carnival.
Yeah.
And I had mentioned the Great Depression and the Dust Bowl. It took place during the Great Depression, like during like the Dust Bowl.
Oh, it was like a 2020 type thing.
In the plains.
Like just keep getting worse and worse that year, huh? Holy crap.
What year?
Like during the Great
2020?
Depression. No, the Great Depression.
Well, the Great Depression wasn't 1 year.
Yeah, well, either was 2020.
How many? Wait, 2020? Oh,
20. Like a third year of 2020.
When you said 2020, I was thinking of 2012, the disaster movie. You know?
God, that was a disaster movie.
Yeah. You mean the movie was a disaster?
Yeah, that was fucking awful.
What, you like when the plane was taken off as like...
There was at least 3 scenes in that movie I remember where they just escaped the asphalt splitting behind them. Whether it was in a car or a plane or...
I mean, that's the movie. The movie is like narrow escapes. Yeah. It's like a bad version of Indiana Jones, because every Indiana Jones movie was like a self-contained like set piece.
Right, but Indiana Jones was like believable, realistic.
Well, because it was done by competent people and they didn't need CGI.
Yeah.
All right, so
so
basically God is saying, like, don't overwork your fields, and every like 6 years you got to give that shit a rest.
But then it says so that your poor people may eat. What does one have to do with the other?
So that's an excuse. It's almost like they don't. It's what you were making fun of me for believing the science, right? Like, oh, look at Rusty believing the science. Well, this is God knowing that people aren't going to believe the science of it. So he's got to make up like a reason to tell them, like, you want to like
because big corporate farming would be like, no, fuck that. We're going to wring every last dollar out of this land.
Right. So you want to like gather enough over 6 years and then just like make sure that the poor people have enough to eat and like just let it rest on the 7th year. Logically, it doesn't make any sense, but this is like God knowing that they're not going to believe. The real reason is like you're going to overplant like your fields until they're dead. You got to give them time. What do they call that? Rotation farming? You ever hear that? Like where if you have like a big field, and you split it up into 4 parts, and you plant 3 parts, but 1 part you don't do anything with, and every like year like you rotate.
That makes sense. Yeah.
All right. So,
and what they leave, the wild animals may eat. So whatever the poor ain't eating,
right,
the hyenas are eating.
And then go ahead, read the.
You shall do the same with your vineyard and with your olive orchard.
Right. I mean, I don't know why that's important. Who gives a fuck? That's just like wine and shit.
Why is that important?
I guess.
Fuck. It's like the only reason I'm here is the only reason for this podcast is an excuse to lock myself in a room and kill a bottle of wine once a week.
All right, that's fair.
So you know what? In the 7th year of this podcast, when we have no wine, it's going to be.
We're going to have to take a break.
Yeah. All right. So what's next? 6 days you shall do your work, but on the 7th day you shall rest, so that your ox and your donkey may have relief, and your homeborn slave and the resident alien may be refreshed.
What's the matter? Why the deep sigh?
No, I'm just I see number patterns here. So for 6 years you're gonna till the land. 1 year, 6 years on, 1 year off, and then 6 days on, 1 day off. It's like
well, in fairness, the 6 days on, 1 day off is because there's 7 days in a week.
Right, but why translate that to 7 years? Wait a minute.
Yeah.
The 7-year itch, the rest on the 7th day, the Sabbath. Don't plant anything in the 7th year. 777. Aren't 7s lucky? Is this why the number 7 is lucky?
Yes.
Sweet. That's going on the Revelations page.
I like when Scott finds like these like random. He's like such a conspiracy theorist. I'm amazed you're not QAnon, Scott. You know what I think it is? I think you just haven't really read like the QAnon treaty, because I think if you did, you totally would find a pattern in it.
You're right.
Yeah. So here's the thing about this 6-day thing. It's very nice of God. It's better than American industrialists did in the 19th century, because people had to work 12 hours a day, 7 days a week before like unions came around. And we're like, fuck this, man.
Yeah.
Like he tells them, give them a day off.
Yeah.
So that's another thing. Like, how do you justify that? Like, how do you justify being a Christian, industrialist, entrepreneur, man of industry or woman of industry, while you're like, you can't justify that.
No.
You're not Christian.
No, especially with a cross you're wearing around your neck.
Yeah. Motherfucker.
Fucking lion shit.
Fucking Islander fan piece of shit.
and your homeborn slave, does that mean they were born into slavery, or were they just homeborn, like there's like assigned to the house? Like,
I think that's a misspelling. I think it's supposed to say your homeboy slave. Like, yo, homeboy.
and the resident alien may be refreshed. So I guess the
homeborn means like, a slave born amongst the Israelites.
Oh, okay.
Not like purchased from outside.
Okay. And the resident alien may be refreshed.
Right.
So,
yeah, give your people a day off, motherfucker.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Go ahead.
And then he says, "Be attentive to all that I have said to you. Do not invoke the names of other gods. Do not let them be heard on your lips."
It's almost a contradiction to what he said earlier, because earlier he said, don't speak like of any god before me. But now he's saying, like, don't speak of them at all. Like, don't ask them for help. Like, don't speak of them.
Right. So
do not let them be heard on your lips.
This is a case of somebody getting a little power, and they set down some rules, and they realize, oh wow, that went well. So now I'm going to take a little more
as he's going along.
He's going to get.
But I think this is all part of the same speech. This is all part of the same lecture. Yeah. Like, we've split it up into episodes because it's like God's like being like a little like, like when your parents would lecture you when you were like a teenager, and at a certain point, like 20 minutes in, you just start tuning that shit out. You know what I mean?
What I think someone needs to tell God is the more he tightens his grip, the more star systems will slip through his fingers.
That's Star Wars.
Yes.
Which one? Which movie?
A New Hope.
A New Hope.
The real one, the first one. The first one.
Yeah. The second best one.
Yeah.
The best one being Empire.
I'm a big fan of Rogue One these days, though.
No, Empire's the best one.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Rogue One is a lot of...
fanboy service.
Yeah, a lot, yeah. Okay, so be attentive to all that I have said to you. So he says this. So this... Do not invoke the name of other gods. Do not let them be heard on your lips. Does that really mean don't say anything about other gods? Or is do not let them be heard on your lips a continuation of do not invoke the name. So do not invoke the name of other gods might mean, like, if you're in quicksand, don't be like, oh, please, Ra, save me from dying in the quicksand.
WYSIWYG!
Right. Right. So in that case, do not let them be heard on your lips. Or just in general, do not let don't speak any other god's names.
Okay, so now is this God admitting there are other gods?
He's already admitted this.
Yeah, so...
He's already admitted this, and I think in episode 1, you were absolutely correct when you said that God's speaking with other fucking deities. Or, like, God speaking to other, like, whatever it was, and it turns out it's deities.
Yeah.
Like, there's a big, like, pantheon, apparently, of gods. You know, Zeus, Odin.
Yeah. They're on different ships.
Buddha.
They went to different planets.
Right.
To oppress different
Krishna.
people.
They're all there.
They're all there. You think they're starship captains, or military commanders?
Do I think they're starship captains?
Well, WYSIWYG showed up on Earth.
Yeah.
And other places.
They're like that. They're like that creepy, like androgynous, like Stargate, like kid.
I don't remember that.
You don't remember So remember Stargate? The whole premise was they
the
opened up
Egyptian,
he was an alien that would set up
the
pyramids on all the different planets, and he himself was like some like
asexual,
totally androgynous.
And I'm not saying anybody who's
live
is creepy. I'm just saying he in particular is creepy.
Right. It's Scott. It's a shame that you even have to qualify
but it's
that.
how the
at
fucking
this
world
point.
is, man.
It is. It's true. It's true. That's why comedy is dead. You can't make fun of anyone anymore. Yeah. You can't make fun of deformities, even if they're funny. You can't.
That's got to be killing you. I know you like to make fun of deformities. Oh my God,
you don't even know. Just mental deformities.
So you want to talk about the annual festivals?
I'd rather talk about mental deformities, but society has closed that road for me. So let's talk about annual festivals.
3 times in the year, you shall hold a festival for me. You shall observe the festival of unleavened bread. Again with this unleavened bread. As I commanded you, you shall eat unleavened bread for 7 days at the appointed time in the month of Abib, for in it you came out of Egypt. Right. I think we've heard this before, right?
Yeah, so this is Passover.
Yeah. So, all right, but there's now, they say 3 times a year. Do they break down the next 3, or?
Yeah, he's going to talk about it. He talks about no one shall appear before me empty-handed. Do you
think that was added later on when the church offering basket went around? They said, oh, no, check the Bible. I was like, that's not in there. And they looked and oh,
you mean no one shall appear before me
right,
empty-handed?
They added that later.
Yeah, it's in a different font.
Yeah. It's retcon.
They couldn't quite get the same typewriter, It's all crooked in there.
It's like a post-it note on the page.
Yeah, because and it's spaced all weirdly. You see how right?
Well, you typed this.
No, I copied and pasted directly from from the digital version of the Bible. It's a direct copy and paste.
Maybe this is just like any script in Hollywood. It goes through a bunch of revisions before it becomes
Oh, absolutely.
Somebody said, "Wait, you forgot about the part you got to bring stuff."
By the way, as I've been reading this and I've been looking at certain verses to try and figure out what the meaning is. There's different versions of the Bible. Obviously, we're using the New Revised Standard Version. The King James Version, there's some verses where it's holy fuck, thank God we're using the New Revised Standard Version, because we would totally have to interpret what's being said. And on the one hand, I'm disappointed because that might be a little more fun trying to figure out what the fuck is being said. Also, the whole point of this project, in episode 1, we were talking about how, the interpretation is almost everything. How are people interpreting? So for us, it's being simplified. There's an even simpler version than this. Oh. I forgot the name of it, but it's really plain language.
I think by the time we get a little further into this, we'll probably just maybe switch over to that
Yeah,
one.
I mean, it's like even Cardi B would be able to understand like that version of the Bible. That's how like it's like really written
like
for
Cardi B.
stupid people.
I like Cardi B.
I didn't say I don't like her, but she is not.
You're gonna get into a rap feud with her on this.
You think so?
Yeah.
Right.
I like Cardi B. I'm a fan.
She's gonna dog walk me.
I don't know what that is.
She got into like some kind of internet beef with like some woman, and she was like, "Bitch, I'll dog walk you," and I just thought that was fucking hilarious.
I love her.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
Yeah, all right. Now you want to be on Team Cardi B.
I didn't say I'm not on Team Cardi B. I just said she's,
Yeah, you just went on air to our millions of listeners
Yeah.
and like talk shit about her.
I mean, I didn't exactly talk shit about her. I just said she's dumb.
Yeah, that's
Who's going to argue with that?
Me.
You think she's not dumb?
No, of course she's not dumb.
Okay. I disagree.
I mean, just because she's really rich doesn't mean she's smart, but she's not dumb, man. Come on.
Okay. I mean,
based on all my conversations I've had with her, I don't get that impression.
I've seen her on shows. Have you watched? There's like a show where these people were trying to become rappers, and she was one of the judges. It was her. I don't know anyone's name. There's like a rapper from Chicago. I forgot his name. Not Common. I know Common's from Chicago. I forgot this guy's name. And the other guy from Atlanta, the guy that got like caught like with guns at the airport and had to spend like 3 years in prison. T.I. So T.I. was one of the judges. She was one of the judges. And it was like all these like underground like rappers battling it out. Nice. And I watched like the series, like multiple episodes. And she was one of the judges. So I had to listen to her like formulate thoughts and speak thoughts and like express herself. And I am telling you, and this is about something she knows about.
All right. Do you think T.I. got caught with 100 guns, 200 clips?
No, that's...
Was he going to New York?
No, we know how that story turned out.
Yeah.
And that wasn't T.I.
No,
that
KRS.
was the great KRS one.
So great there was never a KRS 2.
It did not turn out well for the police. Let's just say that.
No.
All right. So, we are now in the sabbatical year and Sabbath.
The annual festivals, man. Keep
up.
Keep
Shit.
up.
We're all the way here now? All right, yeah. So, we talked about the Passover. Like, they gotta have a festival to mark, like, their exit from Egypt. You shall observe the festival of harvest, of the first fruits of your labor, of what you sow in the field. You shall observe the festival of ingathering at the end of the year, when you gather in from the field the fruit of your labor. 3 times in the year, all your males shall appear before the Lord God. So 2 times a year when you harvest.
Like planting.
When you plant.
Planting, right.
When you harvest. And the Passover. And when to commemorate when you left Easter. Those are the 3 times. So basically spring, winter.
When you left Easter?
I said when you left Easter?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. When you left Egypt. My bad.
All right, so when you left Egypt, you're celebrating the planting, you're celebrating,
the spring,
and the harvesting.
I would say the spring equinox, the fall equinox, right?
Oh, look at you, you're a druid.
I mean, pretty much like today somebody on Twitter posted, why do atheists celebrate Christmas? And I like Christmas. It's great. It's a beautiful time of year, like peace, joy, love to the world,
Gifts.
Like gifts are nice, like giving and receiving, right? It's a beautiful time of the year. So somebody was like, why do atheists celebrate? And I was like, so I responded, I was like, why do Christians celebrate like a pagan winter solstice holiday, Because that's what Christmas is. Christmas is a pagan winter solstice holiday.
No, Christmas is celebrating the birth of Christ, no?
Christ was born, if Christ was born, by the way, was born sometime in late winter, early spring. He wasn't born at that time. And Christmas, basically, they took over a pagan holiday, which was the winter solstice holiday.
Okay. Listen, I'm not going to get too technical with like what his birth certificate says as far as his date of birth, all right? There's people in this room that I don't know when they were born.
That's true.
All right, so 3 times
Why
in
are you
the
trying
year,
to blow up my whole shit, man?
3 times in the year, all your mail shall appear before the Lord God.
Yeah.
I am pretty sure this was also added later on when 52 weeks out of the year, the husband did not want to go to the church. He wanted to watch some football or whatever was on. And he goes, I only got to go 3 times a year. So you got to think like Christmas, Easter, and what's another big Christian holiday?
Christmas, Easter.
Or Jewish holiday or Hebrew holiday. Yeah.
Oh, it's Passover. It's Yom Kippur, which is
that was New Year's.
Yom Kippur. Oh, I'm sorry. Yom Kippur is the big one. Yom Kippur is the one that's like the solemn one. New Year's is Rosh Hashanah.
Oh, right.
Rosh Hashanah. So Rosh Hashanah, Passover. I don't know. Then there's that one where they like hang out in the hut.
Oh yeah, the sukkahs.
Right, Sukkoth.
You know, there's a place called Sukkah Depot in Brooklyn.
What's it called?
Sukkah Depot.
Okay.
It's like they sell those.
Really?
The suckers. Yeah.
Where in like Crown Heights?
I can't.
Not
I want to say
Crown
maybe
Heights,
over there. No, maybe it might have been Crown Heights.
No. What's the one where Maimonides is? What's that neighborhood?
Like Fort Hamilton Parkway over there.
Yeah. What's the name of that neighborhood?
I don't know.
It's not Crown Heights. It's
not Crown Heights.
Oh shit! I forgot the one like off of like Ocean Parkway, like in the 40s and 50s.
Yeah, I don't know the name of that.
All right. I'll think of it.
Yeah. Sukkah Depot. It's like Home Depot for suckers.
Yeah.
Suckers.
All right.
All right, so 3 times a year they got to go to, get off the couch, go to church with your family. All right, you shall not offer the blood of my sacrifice with anything leavened, or let the fat of my festival remain until the morning. So this gets back to you don't leave the food till the next day. You remember to devour all that shit.
Right.
No, basically no leftovers. Chal manja. No leftovers.
Well, it's important, right? Because they say like if you cook some food, you got to refrigerate that shit right away because bacteria starts growing on it within like I forgot like once it starts like cooling off the meat, like bacteria can get in that shit like real quick.
Earth is crazy. Man.
So God's like, yo, man, you got to eat that shit right away. Don't like let it lie around.
Okay, but did they leave food laying around on other days? Like, was there food that was non-perishable? That had to be.
I mean, I'm assuming yes, and that's why all these rules had to be established.
Do you think that, I'm sure...
Like, in other words, if nobody was fucking animals, God would not have been like, yo, no bestiality, right? Like, you don't create laws for things that don't exist.
Right, I got you, but he only said... Oh, this doesn't just apply to the let the fat of my festival remain until morning. I thought it was just for these 3 parties.
It is, but I think this is like a good. It's like it lays out a standard for them.
You, for the most part, grew up in New York, so I'm sure you've
for the most part
for you've gone to dinner at people of a certain background, and they will not let you stop eating. And you have to finish it. Wait, more. Have
Italians?
Some. I wasn't saying anything. I'm just saying there's certain people very pushy about how much food you have to eat.
Okay.
And you think it stems
it's not
from
just
this?
Italians, by the way. My grandparents were very much like that too.
Oh yeah.
I think it's more to do from the time that they grew up. Especially people like that generation grew up like during a depression era.
You may not. You don't know. When your next
so you
meal's
gotta
coming.
eat. Yeah.
All right. Eat while you. I'll take it while it's hot.
Especially my grandparents grew up during like you should look this up during the famine in Ukraine of like the 30s, the 20s or the 30s. I forget. I think the 20s. That shit was fucked up. Like people were eating people.
Or was it just crisis actors playing out a narrative for us?
Right. And then they also lived through the siege of Ukraine by the Germans, by the Nazis during World War II. Not my mom's parents. My mom's parents were sent away.
I gotta tell you, man, I'm starting to think Ukraine's got a pretty fucked up history. Like, it's been rough to live there.
It's fucking horrible.
Shit.
It's horrible. By the way, do you know who established Ukraine? The Vikings.
Really?
Yeah, so Kiev...
Are they in the Bible?
Kiev was established... The Vikings?
Do they show up?
No, the Vikings were not around at that time.
Okay.
Vikings didn't show up until almost 1,000 years after the Bible. So like around 800, 700, 800, somewhere like that, they emerged.
Let me guess, they made it to the New World before Christopher Columbus?
Well, they absolutely made it to the New World.
See, recent history.
Not just the New World, but like deep into it. Like they found like Viking shit in like modern day like Massachusetts.
Really?
Yeah.
Like Viking shit?
Like before like the New World meant like Nova Scotia, you know, like up in Canada.
Yeah.
No. They found like Viking shit like much further down. Like
maybe the glacier brought it. Like when the glacier moved.
Everything is possible, but from my understanding, like they found like evidence of Viking settlements in like parts of what is today the Northeast.
All right, so there's nothing can be leavened on these 3 holidays? Is it specific?
I don't even understand. Like, look, I get it. When they had to flee Egypt, God was like, yo, quick, you know? I don't know why, because God was like...
You know why? What makes the bread rise? Is that
yeast.
Yeast? Maybe the aliens can't eat yeast. They can't digest it.
They're lactose intolerant.
Yeah, they're like yeast intolerant or whatever.
Yeah.
So they're like, no more of that fucking bread.
No yeast, right?
Yeah. All right.
Oh, that's why they were raining that manna down. That manna which has like no yeast probably.
Fuck yeah. Holy cow. They sprayed manna all over the place.
Yeah. That's what what the Israelites are eating now. They're eating manna because there's no food, right?
And the best way to take control of people is to go through their stomach. All right.
Feed the people. Feed the people. I believe that was the saying.
Yeah, that's the saying. The choicest of the first fruits of your ground you shall bring into the house of the Lord your God.
This fucking guy. Why? Why? The choicest of your fruit. You know what I mean? Like, he's the guest that shows up to your house, you know, and like he'll take the last piece of like anything without even thinking. You know, he's the one that's going to open up like your cabinets and just help themselves, you know, before you say help yourself. You know, the choicest of the first fruits of your ground you shall bring into the house of the Lord your God. Like, why?
Yeah, I don't know. If you're going to give me shit, don't give me shit.
You know what he's starting to sound like to me the more I read about him? Like an Islanders fan. Like a shitty Islanders fan.
Are you trying to say they're all shitty or there's some good ones?
Oh, no. I'm saying genetically. I'm saying they're shitty genetically.
All right. You shall not boil a kid in his mother's milk.
We all know a kid meaning
a
goat.
So,
although,
yeah, exactly. I mean, like he was like.
I mean, it wouldn't be the craziest thing we've read in the Bible.
Like, didn't Abel have to bring his son up to the mountain and he was going to kill him?
Yeah.
So
no, not Abel.
Whatever.
Abraham.
Israel
was brought. No, Israel was the kid that was. Abraham brought Isaac.
Right.
To the mountain.
Right.
Isaac gave birth. No. Isaac did not give birth. Isaac and his wife birthed Israel, who was going to become Israel.
All right. You shall not boil a kid into
Isaac's the
milk.
guy that got fleeced out of his like inheritance and lied to by his like son for his blessing.
Yeah.
So he was like fucked with his whole life, basically.
Yeah. So let's try and picture this. So now a goat gives birth to a kid, right? Like a baby goat as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Would you fill a basin of goat milk? And
That's
then
a lot of milk.
Yeah, and
why not
boil
water?
The kid in the milk.
I mean, it must be tasty though. Boiling in milk.
Yeah,
that's a good idea.
Maybe. But again, this must be happening enough that they had to make a rule.
Yeah. And
it seems like a lot of work.
What's wrong, by the way, with boiling a kid in its own mother's milk? You think it was unhealthy? Or, like, what are they forcing the mom to watch?
Yeah.
I mean, really.
Yeah. Well, maybe they are. Who the fuck? All right, it's a good rule. Too much work anyway.
There's got to be something genetic about it, right?
Maybe there's like sort of like you don't want to inbreed because of like
that's one thing.
Maybe the mother's milk was the kid grew up on mother's milk in the womb, and afterwards he was sucking on the teat.
It's weird. It's a weird one. You shall not boil a kid in its mother's milk.
I can honestly say I will probably never break that rule.
Okay.
If the rules were this easy, everyone could follow them.
Well, you know what I will never do? I will never, ever, Scott. I promise, as long as we know one another, I will never carry away one of your donkeys. I will never do that.
All right, we'll see. Let's see how this life plays out.
All right.
Can you imagine one day, like in the far future? I don't know.
I had to. Like, it just, the situation came up.
Do you remember that time back in 2022? You said, I'm never going to do that.
Oh, how strange life is.
The conquest of Canaan promised. Again.
Once again. Once again. 1,000 years after his first promise, God is now going to promise once again that the Israelites will take over. He's going to send an angel. The angel's going to go up on ahead of like this congregation. But eventually God's like, but it's not going to happen like right away. Like it'll happen like little by little. Like he's starting to prepare them for the fact that like, don't get too excited.
Yeah. Keeping the ball low.
Yeah. And then he starts naming all of the people that hate the fucking Israelites, which is everybody, the whole world. The Amorites, the Hittites. I don't even know who these people are. The Perizzites.
You remember Die Hard? When Hans is making his demands.
Oh, yes.
And he's let the 7 people of the Golden Temple free.
Right.
And the guy went like this. He goes, I swear I'm on that. Read about him in National Geographic.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's it's just all these people, the Hivites, the Jebusites.
Yeah, he probably says to the guy next, who else do they hate? Who else is in their way? Just add them to the list.
So, he's like, I will get rid of all of them.
I will blot them out.
If you believe in me alone. Like, I am your God, and if you believe in me alone, I will destroy all your enemies.
Now, does that mean all of the people in the caravan have to be fully believing in him for this to happen? Because I think this is an escape clause. Because now we can say, oh, wait, they didn't wipe out the stalactites.
Yeah.
Oh, which one of us doesn't believe?
It's a really good question. I'd say yes. I would say that, yes, God is constantly, and I brought this up in like an earlier episode, he's always like creating lose-lose situations. Like he's creating impossible to live up to scenarios for people. So, do you remember how many Israelites fled Egypt? I forget. It was a lot. It was like 100,000. It was a lot, right?
A lot of fucking people.
Right. You give me any group of 100,000 people and force them into like believing one thing. It's impossible.
Oh, shit. No, it's a fucking army.
I mean, except Ranger fans. If you get 100,000 Ranger fans, I guarantee you they will all say Islander fans are pieces of shit. Fuck them.
Yeah, so he's going to blot them out. So, like, that sounds pretty severe.
Yeah.
Like, blot them. I feel like a big shoe comes down and, like, blot. Like
well, I mean, he did, because when's the last Amorite that you met? You ever meet an Amorite?
That's true.
Or a Hittite?
You know what? You probably have, but they're not going to say they are.
They're on the
because,
down low.
Because, fuck that. I ain't getting stepped on that big sandal from the sky that comes squashing down my people. Do you think he's like, Nate, choose the form of the destroyer? Like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man shows up. Good thinking, Ray.
I tried to think of the most like benign thing I could.
Good thinking, Ray.
All right. So he's gonna blot all these people out. But he's not going to do it all at once.
But you should not, before we get there, you shall not bow down to their gods or worship them or follow their practices, but you shall utterly demolish them and break their pillars in pieces.
Yeah.
Like, they're demolishing. He's talking about their gods.
He's talking about like any temple that they might have set up,
right.
you know. So like if they see like a temple to like Neptune, like fuck that shit up and like destroy it.
So
you know what that's like? That's like the Taliban.
Right.
When they blew up like the Buddhas. Remember like those like
shit. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So here comes this roving group of 100,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, hey, what's this, a parade? And no, they just all fucking your churches up.
They're like locusts. No wonder like people hated the Jews.
People hated the Jews?
No, historically they're loved everywhere they go.
Well, maybe they stopped breaking up the altars and shit.
Well, that's what I'm saying. No wonder. Like they showed up out of nowhere. And so God says, I will not drive them out from before you in 1 year, or the land would become desolate, and the wild animals would multiply against you. I don't know. What's he saying?
He's saying, like, he's not going to clear the land ahead.
Okay.
Because the animals will start humping and going crazy. There'll be so many fucking animals. Like, the infrastructure will decay. Everything will fall apart. You ever seen the show Life After Humans? Or
Sure.
Yeah, something like that.
It doesn't take long for nature
so,
to start taking over.
So you need people in place. So he'll slowly push them out as you encroach on their borders.
Okay.
Which is just going to happen anyway. Like he's taking credit for something that would have happened organically.
Right.
Like you bring 100,000 people and you're going to start pushing people out.
Right.
And he's taking credit for this.
Right.
So I'm going to do exactly what would happen naturally, and you're going to give me credit for it.
Right.
Yeah.
He.
Capital.
All right.
But he also, you missed some, you shall worship the Lord your God, and I will bless your bread and your water, and I will take sickness away from among you. No one shall miscarry or be barren in your land.
Yes, I'm glad you read that part. I was about to skip that part over, and when I read that part, I remembered that that's a promise that he doesn't keep. Like he's basically telling them, like, I'm gonna make you like invincible to like impervious to disease.
Oh shit, yeah.
Like you won't get sick. All your kids are gonna be like healthy
and I will fulfill the number of your days. I guess that means fulfill
like you'll be happy all the time. Yeah, like you won't have to struggle or worry.
He's making promises his body can't check.
Yeah,
I mean he's making You're making promises your body can't get
cash. You're writing checks your body can't cash.
That's that great F-14 Tomcat movie.
What are you talking about? Top Gun?
Yeah, man.
You know the second one's coming out. Like,
hasn't it been coming out for like 3 years?
Well, they had to shut it down because of coronavirus, but it's definitely being released like this summer.
Was that the movie he went crazy on about people not wearing masks?
No, that was like Mission Impossible. I mean, he was right.
He was not wrong. Absolutely,
he was right.
Absolutely. But I'm just figuring, as a Scientologist and a Hollywood person,
I know he's insane, right? Because of what he believes. But nah, man, listen. That was the only movie that was being like shot in the entire world. He was like an executive producer on it, so he probably had a lot of money invested in that movie. When you've invested multi-millions of dollars into like a movie and like someone's fucking around, you know what I mean? Like follow the fucking protocols, man. Yeah. No, I could see like someone under that much like pressure. No, I could see that. The best one is when Christian Bale was doing Terminator, and like the cinematographer or somebody was applying like a light, and he went off on that rant. Oh, good for you!
Yeah, that was a dick move.
Yeah. So anyone that hasn't heard it, go look up Christian Bale rant, Terminator movie. No, I think it was great too, because he was trying to explain. He's like, yo, man, like I'm like in the scene. Like I have to work myself up emotionally I mean, he's filming the Terminator, you know, he's like John Connor, so I don't know how like serious like he has to.
So that was part of his method acting. He just got really into the role.
Yes, but again, it's not like he's filming like The Godfather.
I heard the opposite of Tom Cruise recently. Didn't Alec Baldwin shoot somebody because they were wearing a mask on the set?
No, really. Is it? Are you being serious right now? Oh, okay. Sometimes I can't tell because your ignorance is like unexpected at times. So like sometimes it's hard to tell like when you're being deadpan or when you're really ignorant about some shit.
And I'm sorry for anyone that joke affects, man. That was a tragedy.
I actually just saw a video someone posted on Reddit. A video, like on all those true crime shows where they have like the person accused of a crime when they're like sitting in like the detective's office or whatever, like that, like what's that called? Surveillance camera like footage from I just saw footage in the room when the detective and him were like filling out the paperwork, and the detective got the call that woman had died, and she told him like that. So I just watched a video of his like actual reaction when he found out. Was she the cinematographer? I'm trying to remember, or the assistant director, or the director. She was like one of the because the cinematographer is almost basically like a director. They're actually the director of photography is what a cinematographer is. They're as important as a director in many cases. Oh shit!
What the hell was that?
That's I forgot to turn off my notification. That's my breaking news alert.
What's happening? What's breaking news? What's more important than
breaking news? Kathy Bowden, a member of the Weather Underground, imprisoned for her role in a fatal robbery, but who later helped former inmates, died at 78. The Weather Underground were like radical hippie group in the 60s.
I remember vaguely.
Yeah,
but
so they would like blow up like post offices and shit like that.
I have to ask you this. What checkbox do you have to check to make that breaking news on your phone?
It's the New York Times. That's major. Like the Weather Underground, man. She was a major like figure in, American history.
All right. Yeah. Shame on me for not knowing. Nobody else probably knows it.
Well, you know the Weather Underground.
Yeah, the Humpty dances the hump.
That's the digital underground.
No.
Listen, they gave us Tupac.
Yeah,
I called you Tupac.
I called you fat. Look at me, I'm skinny.
All right, you ready to move on?
I don't know. I lost those places.
No?
Oh! I will send my terror in front of you, and will throw into confusion all the people against whom you shall come. And I will make all your enemies turn their backs to you. It's like, first he says, all the people against whom you shall come. And you're going to come across people, like you're just going to terrorize them? What if they go, hey, welcome Hebrews, hang out, stay a couple days on your way to wherever the fuck you're going. But no, you got to walk in with an attitude.
That's a good point. And he's, by the way, the same guy that said earlier, like, you know what it's like to be resident aliens, so treat other resident aliens well.
Yeah. I almost feel like Will Smith will shoot one of these guys down and like, I could have been at a barbecue, but you got to come down here with your badass attitude.
Yeah, he's sending them in with a bad fucking stank attitude already. Yeah. Or he's the bad like stank attitude.
Yeah, I don't like it.
I will send my terror. So wait, so he's talking about like he talks about his angel. Mm-hmm. Like he's going to send like his angel in front. Now he's calling that angel his terror?
Yeah.
Why not just keep calling it my angel or my angel of terror?
Well, why don't you just call him Angel in the morning?
That's good, Scott.
Going deep here. Going deep.
Nice. Yeah. Is it really that deep, Scott? I'm waiting for a non-80s reference from you.
I don't have
You are so fucking dated, man.
Which is strange considering I wasn't date-worthy.
What are you talking about?
I don't know.
You started dating your wife in the 80s.
And I will send the pestilence in front of you.
A pestilence.
Which shall drive out the Hivites, the Canaanites, and the Hittites from before you.
But not the Perizzites, the...
Oh, he's got something special for them.
Jebusites.
He's got something special for them.
Okay.
So the pestilence, the translations, they think it might have been locusts or hornets. Hornets.
If you you looked at it? I didn't even do that. I didn't know what the pestilence was. Okay.
But I will not drive them out before you in 1 year in the land.
This is what we talked about, right?
So little by little, I will drive them out from before you until you have increased and possessed the land. Again, just taking credit for shit he had nothing. I will set your borders from the Red Sea, or the Sea of Reeds, to the Sea of the Philistines, and from the wilderness to the Euphrates. For I will hand over to you the inhabitants of the land, and you shall drive them out before you. I don't know if you did research, like the borders he's describing, is that like present-day Israel?
No, it's too far. Well, the wilderness to the Euphrates is the river. That's too far. The Euphrates is too far east of where the border of Israel is now.
Could it have been the border then? Like, I don't know if we get to that. Like, maybe they ceded some land back to whoever they terrorized.
I don't think so. I don't
want to cause a shitstorm here.
Yeah.
But I'm just thinking, in a world where terrorism is
in a world where terrorism. In a world where terrorism.
Of all the gin joints and all the towns and all the world, she walks into mine. Terrorism's like people throw that word around a lot.
I'm sorry. Start over again.
Terrorism. These hundreds of thousands of people walked with terror before them.
Mm-hmm.
Are these the first terrorists?
No.
You saying that politically correctly, or they brought terror?
I'm sorry. Are you asking me if I'm saying anything politically correctly?
They had a wacky, waving, flailing inflatable tube man.
Describe terrorism.
I don't know. Showing up and busting down your churches.
All right.
And,
let me ask you a question. Were American patriots in 1773 terrorists? Yes.
I guess it's which side you're on.
Right.
Are you a freedom fighter or are you a terrorist?
So I'm going to say that they were not the first terrorists. I'm going to say that as soon as societies were established, there must have been people who were fighting the underclass, were fighting against established like societies.
Okay, but I can understand if they rose up in Egypt and overthrew the Pharaoh.
Mm-hmm. Well,
but they're walking into like sovereign lands and like kicking ass as they go through.
Well, look, I wouldn't call these people terrorists because I think terrorists are more ideological based. These are more people who are looking to take over a land to live in that land rather than convert anybody.
But they're not looking to take over this land. They're passing through these lands. Oh, no, I guess no.
This is the land.
Okay, all right.
They're going to get to the land where, these people, these tribes occupy.
So they're an invasion force at least.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. They're definitely an invasion force.
Huh.
I said they're like locusts. They're going to descend upon like this land and take it over.
I heard they move from planet to planet, exhausting all the resources.
Exactly.
And Earth is next.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to upload like a virus. And then like the stupid aliens at like the control panel, like before the ship blows up.
I ain't heard no fat lady.
I ain't hear no bell.
I will hand over to you the inhabitants of the land, and you shall drive them out before you. It's like God's going to corral them and just let the Hebrews have at it.
Yeah.
Nice. They don't have to do the hard work.
Yeah.
All right. And then you shall make no covenant with them or their guards.
We're his chosen people.
Yeah. They shall not live in your land, or they will make you sin against me. For if you worship their gods, it will surely be a snare to you.
I feel like
he's contradicting, right?
You know what I feel like? I feel like, remember E.T.? Remember Elliot and E.T. became symbiotic, where if Elliot was sick, like E.T. would get like all sick, and when E.T. was sick, Elliot would get all sick.
Oh yeah.
I kind of feel like there's all these like different like deities hanging out, and like the deity that gets strongest is the one that has the most people like worshiping him. So God is getting like real powerful now because like all these people, like this concentration of people are worshiping him. But if they start worshiping some other deity, then his power starts to get
it's like a podcast audience.
He's right, less and less, while some other gods power might start increasing. So he's like, don't worship no other gods.
So can we send the message out yo, stop worshiping Joe Rogan, come to our side so we can grow bigger? And,
yes.
Joe Rogan's the goal, right? He's the
absolutely.
He's the
and
bar.
Then within a month, we'll have all 10 million of Rogan's listeners.
Yeah, well, when they see the light.
Yeah.
I've never listened to Joe. Oh, no, that's not true. I have listened to him.
I've listened to Rogan. Yeah. I used to like listening to Rogan. I started listening to Rogan, I would say, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and he would have really interesting conversations because he was a self-admitted conspiracy theorist.
Oh, okay.
So he would have on people with interesting theories. It would be fun to listen to.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
UFO guys who presented compelling evidence, or Egyptologists who presented compelling evidence, or people who talked about tribes in the Americas, or Atlantis, presenting information about Atlantis. But he also had serious people on, astronomers, people who would talk about Brian Cox. He's a British physicist or astrophysicist, so he would come on, talk about black holes, this, that.
When he came
I sent you an interview.
Yeah, when he came on and talked, did he sound American? And then you saw him off screen, he sounded all British.
No, he sounded British. No, this guy sounded British. But I sent you an interview with Brian Greene.
Yes.
That was really good.
He was on Beverly Hills, right? 90210.
We already did this skit. We did the skit last week. So that was a good interview. So I really like listening to Rogan. Something happened, though. His brain snapped because 2 things. One, he started complaining about woke culture, which to an extent, at the beginning of this show, I said, yes, to a certain extent, there is woke culture. But the problem is he only comes at it from one side. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? When that's not the reality. That's not arguing in good faith. Woke culture is both sides are engaged in culture wars.
Right.
And 2, the pandemic broke his brain. When he started suggesting that young adults shouldn't be getting vaccinated. Now, whether they should or shouldn't, I don't know. It seems like the doctors are saying they should, so I'm going to go with that. What qualified him to tell people that they shouldn't, I don't know.
And you have a responsibility now because you have millions of listeners.
I mean, look,
but
maybe he believes what he's saying, right? So he is being responsible. But my question to him is, what qualification do you have?
I'm going to flip this on you, man.
Yeah.
You're using this podcast as your platform.
Okay. Not really.
What qualifies you to insult every Islanders fan?
Their pieces. Oh, what qualifies me to insult them?
Yeah.
Okay. I've been a Ranger fan since 1981.
Nice.
That's how many years now? That's
Lots.
41 years.
More than 10.
Yeah. That's good. So let's do the math real quick. We're in 2022, 1981. That's 22 minus 1. Carry the 3. That's 13 years.
At least.
Right. So I've been a Ranger fan, and we've played the Islanders quite a number of times. I've gone to many Ranger Islander games in person, as well as witnessed it. I've listened to WFAN radio, which is the radio station in New York, the sports talk radio station. I've heard these fucking idiots from Long Island call into the radio station and talk about the Islanders. I've had Islander fans in my life. We're not going to name names, but Lenny being one of them. So I have been around Islander fans, and to a man and woman, they're just assholes.
All right. And with that, I think. Wait. Let's get back to the Bible for just 1 second.
I mean, since that's what the show's about, we may as well.
They shall not live in your land, or they make you sin against me. Blah blah blah. Like, so he's like, be nice to resident aliens, but let's pause that shit. Let's wipe the land clean for these people, and anybody you let in afterwards, you'll be nice to. But the people there, you give no respect to.
Again, it's a contradiction because on the one hand, he's saying be nice to resident aliens. On the other hand, he's
once you
saying,
own this shit, I guess
I'm gonna blight them, and right.
Yeah.
So he wants to wipe the slate clean, I guess.
I was going to say, when you said we should do 23 and 24, I mean, you said only maybe 23, and I was like, that's too short. And I'm like, no.
Because we have a lot to talk about. And, you're constantly going off on tangents. And honestly, if the Islander fans weren't such fucking cunts, I could stay on topic. But they've got me so fucking riled up.
Yeah.
But you know what the nice thing is?
Did we talk about Adderall online? Or did we talk about
we talked about it. You know what the nice thing about Islander fans is? I don't have to deal with them because the Islanders didn't make the playoffs, even though they were favored to maybe win the Stanley Cup this year. So that makes it extra special for me that they didn't even make the fucking playoffs. So before we sign off, I just want to say one more time to Islander fans, fuck you. Let's go Rangers.
How many Islander fans do you think there are?
In the world, or
I guess in the world. This podcast are worldwide.
I'm gonna say.
I just want to know how many people you've alienated.
Real Islander fans or like fake Islander fans? That jump on the bandwagon.
Well, bandwagon or not, like if I lived on Long Island, I would probably be in a Long Island.
So Islander fans that care that I'm calling them assholes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I'm gonna say Islander fans with the brain capacity to really understand what I'm saying. And to have the attention span to have gotten far enough into the podcast, I'm going to say there's at least like 7 of them.
All right, so you just 7 listeners we're never going to have.
Well, that's if all 7 of those fucking idiot Islander fans are listening.
No, but you prefaced it with like the ones that made it this far.
Listen, they just know I'm busting their balls. Now go home and get your shine boxes.
You motherfucker. Keep them here, Henry. Keep them here.
All right. Fun episode.
Yeah, it was fun.
Until next time.
Peace.
Peace.